So hi everyone, hope you're doing really well. Welcome to this video where we're going to talk about the costing of a schedule of works. And if you're new here, welcome to the channel. It's all about documenting our property investing journey, but also offering hints and tips to those who are interested in getting in the buy, refurbish, rent, refinance, buy-to-let game. So if that's you, then feel free to stick around, hit subscribe, and at the end of the video, if you like it, please let us know. So if you haven't seen the previous video, this is part 2. You can either see the link in the description or you can see the iCard on screen, where we talked about how to put a schedule of works together for a refurbishment. And in this one, we're going to talk about costing a schedule of works together. And I suppose the thing to point out right at the beginning are costs will vary. And they're essentially, if you keep in mind, there are sort of 4 factors that have an impact upon cost. One would be the area. So think central London is most expensive, and anywhere radiating out from London would be less expensive. So area does have an influence on price. And then sort of the next 2 together, if you've ever done any form of work, even if a car at a garage or a refurbishment, there's 2 elements essentially. There's labour and materials, and labour and materials are both affected, unsurprisingly, by supply and demand. So if there's high demand for both, expect costs to alter and fluctuate accordingly. And then the final thing to think about is the economies of scale. And I don't just mean just depending upon how big a house you're doing, although of course if you have a larger house, plastering a large room is going to cost a lot more than plastering a small room. Replacing guttering is going to cost a lot more than on a larger house than it is on a smaller house. But also think about economies of scale in terms of, if I have just 1 or 2 electrical jobs I'd like doing, that's going to cost you a certain amount. But if I have a few more together and I ask one person to do all those electrical jobs, then each item is going to be a little bit less than if you have them just done individually. So sometimes it's worth considering, is it worth doing a slightly bigger job, because the cost actually overall might come down proportional to the number of jobs being done. So those 4 things: area, labour, materials, and also the economies of scale. And then what I'm going to do now is just walk you through how we've come to these pricings. And at the end of the video, I'm going to talk about how you go about doing this and producing and costing your own schedule of works. So this is what we do, and then I'll share what you can do. So for instance, testing clean gutters, we've put here 90 quid. Again, that depends upon the size of the house. It also depends if it's a terraced property or not, because there's a difference, isn't there, between a terraced property and an end of terraced or a semi-detached. It depends on the number of elevations. So for us, 90 quid. But also think about it, if you've got any extra roof work, which we have, for instance down here, item number 9, then hiring a scaffolding tower, about 60 quid a day approximately, depends again on area. You might be able to get those 2 jobs done slightly less than if you just have one done at one time and one done at another time. So 90 quid for us to test and clean the gutters. Upgrade electrics, that would include a new consumer unit where all the fuses are, an EICR test, which is electrical installation condition report, and also 3 alarms, sensors, 2 smoke alarms and a heat sensor in the kitchen, 760. Renew boiler and thermostat, 1,555 quid. A suggestion for you here is, if you see a property has a combi boiler already and you think it's old or dated or it's been condemned, probably the best thing to do is go and look where it is and note the model and the make and also the size of the boiler. So it might be 28 kilowatt or 32 kilowatt. And then just say to someone, look, I'd like exactly the same boiler as there, just modernised. So if it's a Worcester Bosch 32 kilowatt, can I have that? Then you just take the cost of the boiler and you add somewhere between 300 quid and 400 quid for the work to be done. So approximately 350 quid. Gas safety check, somewhere between 40 and 60 quid, 40 quid. And secure all floorboards and carpets and then overboard. Now we'll just work out a per square metre for this. So this is one of the reasons why on your site inspection, your viewing, we take note of sizes of rooms, because then you can go and work out the cost, £25 per square metre. Full decoration, 1,400, again depends on the size of the house. New carpets, I typically put 200 quid for flooring. Expect some rooms to be a bit less than that, and some rooms perhaps to be a bit more than that, but 200 quid is a good ballpark figure in my experience. And then a full clean inside and out, including windows, 150. Roof and the leak in the roof, a few slip tiles, probably somewhere between 70 and 90 quid. If it's a bit more than that, add a little bit more on. Double sockets, 55 quid is what we work on at the moment for a double socket, so two of them, 110. Renew a light pendant, probably 55, maybe a little bit more, but you can probably somewhere between 40 quid and 55 quid. Patch and skim reveals, that's the part around the window, £80. It's a bit of a fiddly space, so it's you can have a whole ceiling done for about 100 quid, but it's very easy, very simple, very straightforward. And so on, we can just sort of see ease and adjust the door, 40 quid. If it's jaws stuck and it doesn't work, the only reasons I'll sort of put a line through point number 15 is because, of course, it's already included in the decoration comment earlier in number 6. Removal of rubbish, again, we tend to do sort of small clearance and heavy clearance. About approximately 400 quid for a light clearance and approximately 600 quid for heavy clearance. But if the house doesn't need a huge amount getting rid of, and I'll just put here 40 quid. Paint already included, double sockets, and bathroom. So let's move on to the bathroom. You see here I've got quite a few gaps. We would typically expect a new bathroom to cost somewhere between 1,600 and 1,900. And again, it's going to depend, isn't it, upon the quality of your suite and the quality of fixtures and fittings, like the shower, what sort of shower you're going to go for, what sort of tiles you're going to go for, what type of flooring, what sort of light, and so on. But we'd expect for a single buy-to-let, rinse and repeat, somewhere between 1,600 and 1,900. Be careful how you install the bath. I made a comment on that before earlier. You do want humidity sensitive fans, and you do want a lock on the bathroom door. And the best thing to go for is a privacy set lock rather than the sliding bolt, because if you get a child, for instance, is in and a lot of bolt across and they can't wiggle it out, there's nothing you can do on the outside apart from sort of break the door, damage the door. But if you've got a privacy set, you can actually use a coin or a screwdriver and you can unlock it from the outside. Saves on the maintenance job. HSL, whole stairs landing, and so on. There's plaster, take the plaster off, let it dry, and then renovating plaster and skim. Depends on the size of the area again, but 100 quid. Handrails, critical for families, easy to hold on to, 125 quid. Nothing different. New skirting, anywhere between £10 and £12 per linear metre. So again, making sure you are calculating the size of rooms is really, really critical to accurately costing a schedule of works. And it also depends, again, on the type of skirting. MDF skirting is going to be a lot different to really high-end skirting. So think carefully about what sort of skirting board you want. Anything else particularly interesting here? I think number 51, replace the Euro cylinder and 4 keys. Typically a replacement key would be about 5 quid, so 4 keys are 20 quid. And again, you can spend anywhere from sort of like 10 quid, 12 quid on a Euro cylinder, right up to hundreds of pounds for like 5-star rated and things. So they change depending upon what you're actually wanting from it. Boxing pipe work, curtain rail batons, again these are critical, stop someone else drilling into your wall. A piece of wood, they can fix their curtain attachments to. We don't supply curtain attachments, they can do their own. A big thing in my head is supply the absolute bare minimum in good quality and allow them to do the rest. A lot less ongoing maintenance problems. And air vent cover, they're critical, anywhere between 10 and 20 quid, depending on the size. Now, so there are some of the costs indicative. Now, again, please don't go away and say, well, this is how much it should cost for my refurb. I have no idea where you are, no idea what the size of the project is, no idea if you're doing a buy, refurb, rent, refinance, or if you're doing a flip or an assisted sale. So, bear in mind, I'm not advising you this is what it will cost you. Do your own research, your own due diligence. But here, and this brings on to the last bit. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to walk around and produce a schedule of works, just like we did in the first video. And then in terms of pricing, the first thing you want to do is go and ask some people and do some internet research. If you type into Google cost of plastering a small room, it will give you some prices. And also, if you might have family and friends who are in trade and say, look, if I was going to ask to do this job, I don't know, install a curtain rail baton, how much do you reckon? But what you need to have is, once you've produced your schedule of works in terms of all the things you need doing, then you need to populate your own figures in here. Put your own figures in, based upon your research and your conversations. And then you have a site visit your builder or your contracts manager or your main contractor and say, work through each one and say, okay, how much does it cost to test and clean gutters? I think 90 quid, what do you reckon? And if they say like 200 quid, you kind of going to know you're off. You're going to know that's not right. And rather than having an argument with them, just say, okay, can you just spread it down to cost of materials? And you pretty much, they'll realise very quickly that you've actually got a cost, and you're going to ask them every single time. One of the things I would say to you is, don't let them, although give them a copy by all means, don't let them say to you, well, I'll tell you what, I'll go away and think about it and I'll let you know tomorrow or whatever. Well, why can't you let me know now? We're here in the room. I'm going to ask you every single one of them. And then at the end, give them a calculator, ask them to get the phone out and just ask them to add up all these costs. And that is going to be, obviously this is an incomplete schedule of work, so I'm just giving you a snapshot here. But they'll say, I don't know, whatever the figure is, £10,000. Okay, should we agree to that? Well, they can't really say much more than yes, because you just discussed every single itemised price. The only things they might say is like, well, the roof works, and you need to get a roofing contractor out to look at roofs, or I might need to speak to my electrician, but get all the other costs in line. And that is how we would produce and cost up a schedule of works. If you liked it, please let us know. We do appreciate your feedback. If you've got any comments or questions, then feel free to share those too. Just before you go, please remember to also share and subscribe. It'd be great to have your company in the next one. Look forward to seeing you in those. Thank you ever so much for your support. Really appreciate your company. And as I say, look forward to seeing you in the next one.